I think I found a very interesting update when it comes to Quant, and let me tell you what it's about. Because not too long ago, when it comes to Quant and their account on X, they did announce that they were delighted to again announce that Quant was voted the best programmable payment platform at the Future of Finance Awards last week in London. And they made this post a couple of days ago, so we basically just minus a week from that, and allegedly this was when it happened. So I think this is pretty interesting. I mean, when we take a look at Quant again, voted the best programmable payment platform, allegedly, and this was again at the Future of Finance Awards. Now, I've never heard about these awards, so again, this is kind of like, I think, pretty cool nonetheless. I think it's pretty interesting. But even beyond that, we have to take a look at why I think the market of payments could hypothetically be something special. Because, for instance, the payments market is currently valued at over $2 trillion. I think that is something that is pretty surprising to me and just pretty hypothetically fantastic because take a look at, for instance, a lot of people out there have, you know, I would say anticipation over what the AI market could hypothetically be. And don't get me wrong, I do like that as well. But take a look at Grandview Research. They predict that the AI market is expected to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030. And again, take a look at what I just mentioned before about the payments market. It's already valued at over $2 trillion currently, allegedly. It doesn't have to wait another 5 years, if that makes sense. So I get it. There's a lot of hype when it comes to AI, but when it comes to payments, should it maybe be viewed as in the same regard of AI, if not hypothetically better, at least right now? Who knows? Maybe not in terms of the cool factor, kind of like in terms of the, I would say, hype, but in terms of the attention, man, I don't see why I wouldn't pay attention to it because it seems like a very large market to me, at least in theory. So this is why I'm such a big fan when it comes to Quant. It feels like even though this isn't like really them doing anything in a sense, they just won hypothetically an award. But then I just kind of like how they're beginning to gain a lot more credibility, if that makes sense, because the way to take a look at Quant is that for quite a while, it was kind of viewed as a project that at least many of my friends out there, they don't really know what it's about. I try explaining it to them and they're like, oh yeah, we don't want to bother and all this type of stuff. Sometimes I feel like people don't really want to take time to kind of understand what Quant is all about. But personally for me, when I take a look at Quant, I take a look at its fundamentals. It's kind of like something that I feel, why wouldn't I hypothetically believe in it? Because let me explain Quant in a very simple way. We have to take a look at the Quant network. It's made up of the Overledger OS and the Overledger network. But then, because the Overledger network is made up of the Overledger OS users, I'm just gonna jump straight on to the Overledger OS because I think, quite frankly, this is what people care about the most, and this is kind of basically the thing that really made me believe in Quant, because through the Overledger OS, something called a multi-chain application can be built. Now, a multi-chain application is an application that is built on top of multiple blockchains instead of just one. So again, through this, allegedly, maybe, right, developers don't have to be stuck building on only just one blockchain, because why do that? That's kind of like, a little bit of a thing of the past, if that makes sense. Now, granted, many developers out there haven't really, I would say, kind of adopted this in a full scale, but hypothetically, things like this takes time, so I'm totally aware of that. But even besides that, just imagine, right? Let's say I'm a developer or something like that, or I'm an enterprise, and then I want to use the Overledger OS to make an application in theory that takes advantage of the speed of the Stellar blockchain, and then at the same time take advantage of the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. Allegedly, that could be done through the Overledger OS. So that's amazing, right? Imagine if I was just only building, let's say, on a certain blockchain. Sure, it could have some advantages, but how about the disadvantages? How can I supplement that, right? How can I make up for it? Again, traditionally, developers, they stick with that blockchain. Hypothetically, in some cases, that's kind of like it. Like, okay, what else, right? We can't really make up for the disadvantages. But then now, again, there is something like the Overledger OS. But then some people like to say, oh, adoption isn't the best, and I agree. But hypothetically, even though that type of stuff takes years, some people kind of find it concerning because they're like, okay, let's say in the next 6 months to a year, if it doesn't gain a lot of hype, how can Quant even do anything? Well, in theory, in my opinion, in this space that we're in as of right now, who knows, again, will it be in like 5 or 10 or 15 years? But right now, people more so care about the attention, kind of like the story, the narrative. And I think when it comes to something like Quant, I think it does paint a pretty good narrative in terms of what it's about and what it's really trying to do, because it's only fair to assume, right? If I believe in this blockchain space overall, and just this space in general, why would I not think that there's not going to be, more applications that are going to pop up in the future? It's only logical for me to assume something like that, right? So then, if I kind of feel that way, would maybe in the future these developers, are they going to maybe look to the Overledger OS? Who knows? But hypothetically, I don't see why not, because it is so unique, it's so interesting, at least to me. Let's say Quant were to go to the price of $2,000. Considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $24 billion, and it's around a 20x from here. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, that's like, what are you even talking about? Take a look at how alts are doing as of right now. Of course, I'm talking about altcoins, but the way to take a look at it is this. I feel like the pieces, maybe when it comes to the altcoin space, hypothetically, I think it looks pretty good. Like, for instance, take a look at how there's over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. Take a look at also how back in 2021, there was around 300 million crypto owners, and that was during the peak of that bull run. So in theory, I think that actually, if let's say the markets did really recover in a fantastic way, I think hypothetically, the altcoin season, if it, let's say, ever decides to wake up, because who knows, I can't tell the future, but then, let's say it does, I think it could maybe look better than back in 2021, at least hypothetically. Now, some people may be thinking, but okay, there's more competitors right now than back then. I'm totally aware of that. But we have to consider this. Despite the increase in competitors, we have to take a look at many of them seem to me like they're not projects that could really survive maybe for the long term in terms of like kind of the longevity of it, right? Because there are so many launch pads, people are launching random meme coins and whatnot. How long will they be around? I have no idea. Will they ever get listed in big exchanges? For the most part, who knows? So then, yes, there's more competitors, but how many can really actually quote unquote compete with something like Quant? If that makes sense, because I haven't really found, any projects out there that are kind of on par with this, fundamentally speaking. I mean, sure, I believe in other projects, but then I haven't kind of found something quite like this. When it comes to Quant, people feel like, oh, the glory days were back in 2021. But that could be said for a lot of altcoins. But I'm still going to be patient when it comes to Quant because I don't want to give up. I cannot control the markets, so there's only one thing I can control, and that's myself. Whenever the markets hypothetically do decide to wake up, if let's say it ever does, I want to be prepared for it. So I want to be dollar cost averaging, holding, and just waiting. That's it. I am not telling anyone to buy Quant, by the way. I can only speak on my behalf, but this is what I'm doing. For me, my strategy is hypothetically very simple. It's literally just me believing in a project that I find interesting, holding and just waiting. That's it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.